Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Kind of a gray morning.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm actually wondering if it's going to rain. I peeked ahead to the forecast to find out what we can expect.
I know, right? But I'm not really complaining because it's still pretty cool.
No, but I was going to say that the mornings are so nice.
Well, there is that. So, like, I'm not going to complain about the weather, but I'm going to complain about having to get out of bed.
Well, we'll see. I mean, they told us that it was going to be fairly decent weather for the next couple of days, and I'm expecting that much. But it does look cloudy out there. It's nice and cool if you want to step outside and wake up right. But we got Crystal to fill us in on all the details. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
All right, Crystal, we're talking about how lovely this cool morning is, but it does look a bit cloudy out there. What does that mean?
Well, a weak cold front passed over us, so we do have some clouds over us, but conditions will improve today.
You had an emphasis on weak, because we didn't feel very, very cool temperatures last night.
Yeah, it wasn't too cool.
Okay.
But, yeah, so mainly fair conditions.
But it's bringing some moisture.
Yes.
All right. And what areas are going to be affected, and just how much moisture are we expecting?
Okay, well, it's going to be mostly sunny with some cloudy spells today and clear to partly cloudy tonight.
Okay.
With isolated showers or periods of light rain may occur mostly along the coast and over some inland areas today, and then mostly over the south tonight.
All right. And what about those winds?
The winds are going to be from the north to northeast at 5 to 15 knots.
And our high temperatures for today?
High temperatures will reach 82 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 86 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the Mountain Pine Ridge.
And tonight?
Tonight will be 73 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 67 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 64 degrees Fahrenheit in the hills.
All right. So what are we expecting for the next couple days?
For Wednesday and Wednesday night is for mainly fair conditions with showers, if any, being isolated.
All right. Very straightforward. Thank you so much for that update, Crystal.
You're welcome.
You have a great day today.
And you as well. Thank you.
All right. There you have it.
So,
the clouds may hold some rain.
I know, right? But I think I got a bit excited, just like you did when she said cold front. But
that's past.
I know, right? But I mean, I still think that I'm going to be able to enjoy the rest of, you know, what we do have. Because actually the weather has been pretty great lately. Yesterday was a really nice day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a reminder that we are getting closer to cold front season too.
I know.
Perfect for the season. And speaking of the season, one of the things that definitely I think is a part of a Belizean Christmas got started last night.
Which
that's our annual Gimme Five.
Oh, Gimme Five. I know.
Clearly, you are one of those people. If I would have called just now, you would have said hello.
I know, right? I said.
Of course, Gimme Five got started last night, and it is an annual celebration for us here at Channel 5. And it is a two-part celebration. One, it's kickstarting the Christmas season, but more importantly, it's about celebrating our anniversary. And we are celebrating our 28th anniversary this year. So it is very important to us to be able to do it right. And last night was a fun night.
Yeah,
some people, like you, were kind of like not quite registering that it started as yet. It's the most disappointing thing because you know, having done the show, people say hello and then you just hear the complete regret afterwards.
Yep. I know, right? No, definitely I would have gotten cut. But only because it's early days.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, as time goes by, I think definitely people are going to get the message and it's going to register.
Yeah.
So that, and I think even on like a normal phone call, that's what people just automatically be answering.
You know, I think that's like an annual prank for some people. If you know that someone is really into Gimme 5, they time the calls to kind of trick them. Poor things.
I may or may not have done that before.
Oh, poor things. I hope you gave them some prizes after they answered Gimme 5.
Yeah, of course.
That doesn't sound very believable, Kevin. But we do have some great prizes if it really is Channel 5 calling you. And, you know, there's even more coming up in the later part of the week. It's not too late to get your name in the fish tank. All you have to do is come by Channel 5, get your coupons. They're 25 cents each. And you can walk away with some fantastic prizes. I mean, look at that. I feel like I could go shopping for Christmas right over there on that set.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly looks like lots of good stuff. Yeah. And it's for, you know, of course, for a whole range of different people.
Yeah.
Which is super, super exciting. And I'm sure that, you know, people seeing it are going to be so enticed. So you got to remember to keep that in mind and stay tuned.
And the key thing is, I think we really try to make sure, while you can get gifts and really great prizes, that we also get you some of the important stuff to prepare for Christmas, to kind of alleviate the burden you may have. So, you know, you don't have to worry about going out and buying paint, or you don't have to worry about getting your turkey or your ham. All of these things can really be helpful when Christmas comes around, because that's one less thing on the shopping list.
And because you know that your family is going to be expecting X, Y, and Z, so if you can cross some stuff off your list pretty early, then, you know, why not take advantage of it and have fun doing it as well.
Yeah. So just drop by our office during opening hours, and normal opening hours, that is, and you can fill out your name, get your coupons, put them in. Remember, it only takes one. We've had people win prizes on the show who put in 2 or 4 tickets, and they still walk away with prizes. It just depends on your luck that night. But it continues through to Friday, and it starts at 8:30, and you definitely don't want to miss it. All right, we're going to get moving into our show now, and it's time for Or Eye Opener. Yeah. And or eye opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. Send love to your day ahead, and remember to stop and catch the miracles. Upon waking, many people consider the coming day with trepidation. Because of the natural human tendency to focus on what we fear or dislike, it is easy to unwittingly send a message of unease into the future that negatively impacts the quality of your day. However, while our lives are busy and frequently replete with challenges, they're also rich with joy and experiences worth savoring. We can attract this natural bliss into our lives by starting each day with a message of love. When you send love ahead to your day, that love will manifest itself in your interpersonal interactions, your professional endeavors, and your domestic duties. Tasks and circumstances once made trying by your own anxiety are transformed by your love, and you will find yourself approaching life's subtle nuances with great affection. If you have difficulty sending love to those situations and individuals you deem particularly frustrating, consider that the warmth and tenderness you project can change your life for the better. Each morning, in sending this love, you will exercise your power to control the ambience of your existence and to color your day with positivity.
That's a really great message. and I'm sure that it's one that a lot of people will appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the times and I include myself in that, we get caught up in, like, let's say maybe being maybe kind of pessimistic, or we're nervous or anxious, as the eye opener said, about certain things, and we don't really realize how much negativity or negative energy that we may be just projecting onto a certain situation, or maybe your outlook for the day. If it's something negative and you're not really thinking positively or putting love out there, let's say, it does have an effect. And if we're conscious about trying to be positive, trying to be loving, trying to spread positive energy, then I think it definitely changes things for the better.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with the eye opener. I am a huge believer in the law of attraction, and I just and that doesn't mean it gets easy. Just because you believe it doesn't mean that it's easy to do. And sometimes that's kind of how I have to reframe stories when I do have something coming up that I'm anxious about, because I have to remind myself that whatever negative thought patterns I have, I may actually be bringing on to myself. And I think it's a lesson you can learn every single day. This would have been a great one for a Monday morning, because most people wake up with trepidation on a Monday morning.
Sure.
Oh, 5 days ahead.
I know. And then I also think that one of the things is to just stop. Even when we are having those sort of anxious feelings, we do have to stop and put ourselves in the moment and thinking whatever it is that we are going to do, or what we're nervous about. You have to. I think we can stop and maybe reflect. Try and give a little positive thought. One thing I do is that I always say that, hey, well, whatever I'm about to do this, or I'm in this position for a reason. Either I worked hard and I got here, or somebody had faith in me, so they're giving me this opportunity. So if all of these positive things happened to me so far, why am I not returning that same energy and putting it out there as well? And
it's so simple, because think about it. When you step out, and we've all had them, on a day that just started miserable. You start telling us, oh gosh, I'm out of coffee. That would be a disaster for me. The car doesn't sound right, or I missed my bus, or it's raining. I don't have my umbrella. So many things can go wrong in an instant. And the minute you start focusing just on that, it seems like everything is wrong subsequently. And that's a part of it, because we're just focusing on what's going wrong in our day versus looking at, okay, I made a little effort here. Or it could be kind gestures that people do. Did someone open the door for you? Did you meet a cute kid that was smiling and playing with you? Did you completely miss it because you're so focused on all the negative energy? So I think it's a lot simpler than we make it up to be in our own minds. But we surely have had the experience that once we start off thinking negative, everything else seems like doom and gloom after that.
And then you have to also stop and analyze and think to yourself, why is it that I have this negative feeling? A lot of the times it's projection, and a lot of the times it's just things that are imagined. I know we had an eye opener a few weeks ago that was talking about that too. Just about what is your perception that may be negative, when in reality nothing really negative, whether it's something somebody said or something somebody did. It's really nothing bad. So maybe you're feeling bad, or you're feeling bad. Maybe you're just hungry. Because hunger is real.
I do know that. All right, so that's our morning motivation for today. And shifting gears for a bit, we were chit-chatting about Gimme 5. And so this morning for our morning tea, here's what we want to pick your brain about, right? So everybody's getting into the gift hunting time. And it's a hunt, because some gifts are really hard to find, more so in figuring out what people want.
Yeah, always.
So what do you think are the most popular gifts for men and women?
I think, for women, I think the most popular one I think it's got to be jewelry, in some shape or form. I think.
And for men?
For men, I don't know. I think I was thinking about gifts that I get. It tends to be, let's say, electronics kind of. People think that guys are into like gadgets and stuff, Also, I get like it's a range of different things. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you get your useful things like ties or socks.
Handkerchiefs.
Handkerchiefs, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, this is definitely not popular gifts. I'm terrible at, well, I'm not terrible at gifts, but I like to personalize gifts so it's not so generic. But I guess from what I've seen, the most popular gifts that people give are perfumes and colognes.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
It's like an easy one to give people.
And then also, I mean,
Doesn't
alcohol
mean
is
it'll
also
smell good on them, but you know, they give it anyway.
Yeah, that got me thinking alcohol is also a good one.
There you go.
Bottles of wine or something.
I think once a person's a drinker, you can go.
Yeah.
You can do well with a bottle of wine, bottle of whiskey, bottle of something, right?
And 'tis the season, right? So most people are appreciative.
All right. But with that, we got to get moving into our show for today. And we're starting off with a very important conversation.
Yes, we are going to be speaking with the Chief Transport Officer for an update on the road safety, the Belize Road Safety Initiative. Of course, that's an important topic based on the recent unfortunate events that have happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. The second part of our show, the Statistical Institute of Belize is going to be back, and they're going to be giving us some updated information on the census 2020. The last time they were doing some training and some piloting, and now we're going to find out what phase they are and when you can expect them to come knocking at your door.
And for our final segment, we are going to be learning all about the Caribbean 2019 triathlon race. So that's going to be really exciting, and we're going to learn all about the activities that are entailed in that
That's right.
new.
Maybe you can do the triathlon.
Maybe.
I'll do the running leg, that's it.
So I can get off some of the Christmas weight.
All right, so that's what we have in store for you today. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about road safety, so please stay tuned.
With over 100 years of service excellence,
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. If you're joining us now, we are joined by Mr. Tirso Galvez, who is the Chief Transport Officer. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we are here to discuss, or get an update at least, on the Belize Road Safety Initiative. So, obviously, the recent tragedies on our roads have been in everybody's mind over the past few days. And I think a question that's probably brewing in everybody's mind is, you know, when we have so much when we have several situations happening in a short space of time, are we doing enough to ensure that our roads are safe? Mm-hmm.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Belize. Thanks again for the invite. Speaking on behalf of the Department of Transport, right, and also of part of the whole road safety initiative, as you mentioned, being a part of the road safety project, the first project that we had, which was on the corridor, and we had been here before. Yeah. And now we have a second project coming on stream, which would be on the Philip Wilson Highway. Mm-hmm. But in regards to recent incidents, as I always mention, that I do not like to use the word accidents. Right. You know, these are crashes. These are things that can be prevented. Mm-hmm. Road traffic crashes are preventable. And one of the things that we must realize is that these incidents are being caused. And so the basic or the reasons for some of these is people behavior, right? And that is what we need to do. And I want to emphasize specifically to mention that road safety is everybody's business, right? It is not only the agencies that are responsible for traffic enforcement, as the Department of Transport or the police or the traffic officers from the municipalities. Yes, we have a huge responsibility because we are the enforcers. And the thing is that we need to enforce. The laws are there to be enforced. And so we must lead by example and enforce these laws. So if we are being allowed to do our jobs to enforce, sometimes, you know, sometimes we have issues carrying out our duties. So the thing is that we must be allowed to do our job the proper way to enforce and not to have, treat anybody different. Everybody must be treated the same regarding at which position you are. Yeah. Not because I am Mr. So-and-so or Miss, I'm this daughter of this person, you know, we just let it slide. So we need to do our share. So to me, the foundation is to change people's behavior because people need to be educated. We cannot stop talking about road safety. This is something that we must continue every time, to be on the air as much as possible. Police officers on the road need to be out there doing a lot of education also. So they also need to be informed about how to educate people and let people realize what is the result, what is the end result of not adhering to the rules of the road, not adhering to the traffic signs.
Tirso, it's interesting that you introduced this issue so early on because about having equal distribution when it comes to facing consequences for breaking the law on the road. And I'm reflecting on the road safety initiative when it was first being rolled out in the Western Corridor. Yes. And they'd done an analysis to see how people were using the roads. Right. And I remember very clearly Mr. Jeffries was here, and he said the #1 perpetrator on that corridor were cars that bared government plates.
Those were the vehicles which we had identified were the most vehicles that were speeding in excess on the highways.
And recklessly overtaking.
Exactly, and so having no regards to the authorities, no?
And so my question is that while everyone has this responsibility and there really is no blame that it has to be equally shared.
Exactly.
Oftentimes, when we talk about getting people to want to change a behavior, we have to believe the very same thing that you said, which is you are held to the same standards that I am.
Exactly.
And if there's no internal within the government departments, if there's no internal drive to set the example, and I see the government vehicle doing it, so I say, well, I'll do it, then it'll be very hard to get everyone to come on board with this kind of behavior change.
And I'm very happy because the thing is that we have a very, someone who is very much into road safety at the highest level, and I know that you are familiar with Miss Hyde.
Yes.
And she is, right there at the Ministry of Economic Development.
Yes.
And she has been, hammering, and so she is our voice at that level. Yeah. And to pass this information, to her counterparts and to the to the ministries. And like I said, we have the department that is responsible for government vehicles, assets and management, utilities also, and they have been sending circulars to the different ministries to tell drivers that if they are responsible for the vehicles, they should not tint their vehicles, and then we see these things still happening, and that's the thing, because I always say that we cannot do our job sometimes because we are not leading by example. And so it's difficult for me or for officers to be out there doing our enforcement, telling people that they are not supposed to put on tint on their vehicles. The law is not saying that you're not supposed to put on tint, but the tint, there's a regulation for the percentage.
It can't be too
tint,
dark.
Right? It can be too dark. So, it's 50% to the front and 20% to the back. And so, again, we need to streamline and ensure that everybody is following. If they want to change the laws, then they need to change the laws to say that government vehicles are exempted or something like that. But presently, the law does not exempt anyone except with the written permission from the minister, which has to be gazetted, for example, in extreme cases where people, for example, are suffering from skin infection or because of the sun rays, they can apply for a special permit. Of course, they have to produce evidence that they have, this condition. So
what you're saying is that a part of what I hear from you is a frustration that you're not able to get everyone on board and setting the example.
Right, and that's difficult for all. I believe that's difficult for all enforcement people who are on the ground. Because it is frustrating at times to be out there, because the thing is that we are trying to do what we need to do, and then it's like I said, leading by example is the main thing. We can't be saying one thing and then something is happening out different.
So do you think then, based on what you said earlier, do you think it's a bigger problem, or which is a bigger problem then? Would it be the difficulty with enforcing, or is it really the lack of, let's say, education in the first place, so that people may not be, fully educated before they get on the road and then they go out and cause problems? So which do you think?
I think like I said, that education is key. We need to do a lot more education for people to realize, like I said, that they need to realize what will be the end result, because we all know we go through this process, especially what the statistics. We need to look at what the data is saying, what the World Global Report Status Report on Road Safety is saying. We have people dying on the road. Actually, road traffic crashes is the number one cause of death from age 5 to age 29. And it's much alarming than that, because the thing is that these are young people, but it's mostly males also. So that is telling us something. And so that means that we have to focus on these young people, on male drivers especially, and especially now that people are going and buying a lot of motorcycles, because a lot of young guys are riding motorcycles. Right now, the statistic is showing that for this year, we have 66 deaths already for this year. Last year, 2018, it was 79. And we are in November right now. And also
starting December, but this is the peak season.
Yes, and also that for this year, 20 deaths are related to motorcycles for this year. 20 out of the 66. right? And this information has been provided by JIC, which is the police branch that is responsible for gathering this information. And so, you know, they are the one that collate this information.
I'm so glad you brought up numbers, because that's always been my question. There are two things that we don't get to hear very often in terms of what causes the crashes. And I acknowledge what you're saying. An accident means you didn't mean for it to happen. Crash means you had a part to play because of your behavior. But in these crashes, there are two things that I know are a part of the law, but we don't really report on. The police really never say. One, whether they were wearing helmets on the motorcycles. Two, whether the people or the driver in the car had on their seat belts, because we are required to wear seat belts. And then the third thing is that we don't always hear about the drug testing that is done and what results, how much alcohol or drugs had a factor in the crash itself. What do we know from the statistics?
That's very true. I don't know if whenever because the thing is, the police are the one that does the investigation when it comes to the traffic crashes when they visit the scene. And you are right, because I have never heard any report saying that this incident occurred because the person was on his cell phone. You know, maybe the thing is, sometimes they are not the first to be at the scene. And people, you know, heartless people also, I must say, because they see these incidents that occur on the road, people are actually dying in the vehicle, or you have people already dead in the vehicle, and they go there to the accident scene and steal the cell phone, which could be used as evidence as to say, well, let me check the cell phone, maybe this person was texting. You know, yes. There's no report in respect to, like I said, whether or not the person was wearing the seat belt, because, like I said, in the incidents, many incidents that occur, people are being flown out of the vehicle, and that's telling you that a clear indicator that they were not using the seat belt. And this is something that we, like I always say, we don't need to implement laws. Vehicles are designed now to protect. You know, we talk about safer vehicles to protect people from these incidents, to assist them with the seat belt, with the airbags, and stuff like that, you know. And I like I said, I don't know if the
so we don't collect that data. We don't look at.
I don't think that the police actually take it down as to say, well, this is a possible cause. Because normally you see driving without due care and attention, or not improper overtaking, but you know, these are some of the things that I think that also need to be collected. I mean, you know, like you said, whether or not at every incident that occur, is it just whether they believe that if it is believed that the incident would have been caused by drink driving, that is when test is being performed.
Like if they know they left a bar or a party, then it's a part of the report.
I believe that it should be something which should be done at all incidents, you know. So,
But the fundament, I mean, there's so many questions I have for you. I apologize if I'm all over the place. But because it is such a critical issue, and you mentioned, I think, one of the most important facts that we have to be honest about. It's usually the younger people who lose their lives in crashes. And anything we can do to prevent a loss of life and the hurt to the family will be helpful. But we have to go back to some of the fundamentals in the country. And I want to ask, what are we doing to better prepare new drivers who are going on the road? What laws have been changed? What processes have changed in terms of how people get their license? Because I still see young drivers who could care less about using a seatbelt, and it's always been in the regulation.
It boils down, like I said, it boils down to the enforcement and to ensure that we are all doing what we need to do, and that these standards are being maintained in respect to how you go about, as you said, how you go about getting your driver's license. The thing is that, as you all know, the Department of Transport is responsible for enforcement and for traffic registration and licensing outside of the municipalities. Right? That has been taken away from us
So it's your city council and your town councils
by virtue
that do it.
of SI, which was done in 2008. So now we have 9 municipalities that are also responsible for traffic control and the issuing and registration of vehicles and the issuing of driver's license.
Yeah.
Right? When we hand over this responsibility to them, of course, we had to do some in-house training. But as time went on, we had new people. I mean, town council changed, and the things just
Staff. So now you have untrained persons who administer this test.
Right, and then they don't even, I'm telling you that, that I have visited some town councils and I have asked them what is their mandate in respect to road traffic, and they don't even have this set of law books which they should be guided by, which is the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, for them to know what is their mandate, and they're just basically doing, it's just repetition, just collecting the revenue from the person licensed the vehicle. There is, you know, I'm not just bashing the municipalities, but the thing is that even our department have faults also in respect to proper inspection of vehicles, right? We do basic inspection, but at least if the vehicles are being inspected to ensure that the lights are working, that the brakes are working, you know, and that, you know, the basic thing that creates problem outside.
Yeah.
You know, vehicles operating outside on the highways with no lights, no headlights, no rear lights, and these things contribute to crashes.
But let me go back to the question about training, because at one point there was a conversation about potentially looking at a driving school, I believe, when you had some consultants in. Because let's imagine the scenario that takes place in this country. I learned to drive along with another driver. That driver learned to drive from another driver. And there was no formal education, no information on legislations, proper behavior, safe behavior. So however they taught me how to overtake, that's how I overtake, whether it's the right way or wrong way, whether it puts people in danger or not, how to use the roundabout, how to maneuver yourself on the road, when to put on your lights, all these things. There's no foundation for this. Everybody's out here carrying on the bad habits of the person who passed theirs on to them.
We, as part of the Belize Motor Vehicle Registration and Licensing System, that is also part of the whole project in respect to, as a matter of fact, we have a safe driver's manual that all that is left right now is for the minister to sign the forward on which is a book like this with information on driving, which will be the new information that will be given out to drivers, which includes all that information that you mentioned as to how you drive around, I mean, roundabouts, what the lines, the road markings indicate, you know, and all this information will be there. And we also, as part of the project, and I had said this before, is that we are still, this project is still ongoing, and we have accomplished now that we have all our district offices issuing the new laminated driver's license now. I mean, not laminated, the barcoded driver's license. We have moved away from the laminated one. Now we are working on the information, new information for the written test, information which would be a data bank of questions that we will have. So it will not be the same questions that people would be coming and say, well, I already know the answer to these. The information, the questions will be from the Safe Driver Manual, and it will be done electronic, where you will be sitting behind a computer and you would have multiple choice questions, but the questions will not be the same. And so that is something that we are also working on.
Yeah, because right now the written test is extremely outdated.
Exactly. It's outdated, but again, there are basic rules of the road that people should abide by, and I believe that if you follow these rules of the road, whether or not some might be outdated, the thing is that maybe they need a little bit a tweaking, amendment, but in respect to how you overtake, and this is, to me, is one of the major cause of traffic crashes out there, because people are overtaking and they are reckless in overtaking, not ensuring that the road ahead is clear. And the thing is that we you always tell people that you should ensure that the road ahead is clear before you overtake, but we should also remember that we also need to look in our rear view mirror before we overtake, because you might see the road is clear ahead and you don't know that there is somebody who wants to overtake you from behind, and so you overtake not knowing, and then you have an incident there. Another problem that we have, that I have seen, is people tailgating behind, traveling too close behind vehicles on the road, and so pulling off into traffic, especially when you are behind these large vehicles, and the vehicle coming in the opposite direction can't see, they only see the truck, and you pull out right behind these large vehicles, and then you end up either with another oncoming vehicle, motorcycle for example, and motorcycles riders always do this. You are on the road and they are right behind your tail, because they can run you.
Or they swerve right or left. You never know which side they'll be on.
And so the thing is that people, the incident which occurred in Ladyville, when you see that video, the thing is that that is a clear indication where you miscalculate the speed of a motorcycle. You see the motorcycle from a far distance, but by the time you make that turn, that cycle is already there. So the law is telling you, you should ensure that the road is clear. So you do not attempt to until that motorcycle has passed.
Isn't it against the law? And I might be wrong. This is to show you how little educated. But aren't you supposed to pull off the road before you make a left turn?
No, and I'm glad that you brought this up, because there is nothing in the law that tells you that you must pull over to the right before you make a left turn. And that is something that has been, and I have heard many people coming on the talk show, people who would say that they are, I don't want to mention who, but the thing is that they are telling people that you have to pull off on the right-hand side of the road. No. The thing is that
a safer practice though?
It might be, but you will not always have the option to pull off the side of the road. The thing is, you don't do that when you are in town. Why should it be different when you drive on the highway? If you are driving on the highway and you want to pull off to the left, you already know where you're going to pull off. You slow down, you put on your indicator so that people behind know that you make a left turn. And that's another thing, because the thing is that people who are behind should also be aware that that vehicle in front might, you see, that's driving, that's defensive driving. You have to always be looking out for people errors or mistakes. And that is not I mean, people putting on their indicator that they are going to make a left turn, you should respect and see the brake light. That's why you should be focused on what you are doing, to see from afar that this vehicle has, the brakes are coming on, that vehicle is slowing down, and it's going to make a left turn. Now, the thing is, you might say, what if the vehicles that is coming in the opposite direction do not want to give you pass? Now, again, we have to exercise some courtesy, and that's what a lot of drivers don't have. They don't respect other drivers. You have to show some courtesy. If I am coming on the road and I see a line of traffic ahead of me, and there's one vehicle that wants to make a left turn, why can't I just stop and ease and allow this vehicle to pass through? You know, we need to exercise some patience, and that's what I think a lot of people don't have. They don't have the patience to road rage, as you mentioned. So we need to exercise, and we need to show some love and respect for other road users.
Yeah, sure. I want to just go back a little bit to I guess some of the issues that you were speaking about in terms of enforcement, because I think maybe people might be a bit alarmed to know that one thing is that in terms of gathering statistics at these crashes, a lot of the information is not there. It's not stored, let's say, so that the data can be monitored. And you also mentioned the issues that may occur because we have the different agencies, whether you have the police department on one hand, then you have the municipalities, and then of course the Department of Transport, sort of having maybe logistical issues. So I guess my question is there any effort or initiative to moving forward so that we can ensure, so that we can start to create policies or make enforcement more effective? Is there anything that perhaps the ministry is doing that will allow for greater let's say, coordination so that we
Yeah,
can
synchronized,
enforce.
The
yeah.
collaboration between
Yeah.
all the agencies, and that's very important, because the thing is that we, like you mentioned, we need to pool our resources together, because if we don't have the resource, we don't have the human resource, we don't have the financial resource, the equipment, then this is where the collaboration. But we need to speak to each other. We need to come together, because we are basically responsible for the same responsibilities. No, we are responsible for enforcement.
Yeah.
So we need to do that. I know that the police, like I said, the police is the one that deals with the accidents.
Yeah.
Now we have a situation also as it relates to data collection in respect to fatalities and injuries, because we also know that the health department also, so there's always the issue with statistics and things, you know.
And sometimes it's private ambulances versus the Ministry of Health ambulances.
You know, and so the agencies, as you mentioned, have to come together to look at these issues. There is a National Road Safety Committee also, which was approved by Cabinet. As a matter of fact, Prime Minister sanctioned, and that was launched, I believe it was in 2017 or 2018, a National Road Safety Committee that involves multiple agents, social security, the police, health, you know, churches, you know, and different people who are responsible to sit at the table and to make recommendations for changes as it relates to the laws. You know, as you mentioned, maybe the laws are there. Maybe we need stiffer penalties, you know, for people. You know, will the stiffer penalties, you know, will it change people's behavior?
But in order to get to penalties, though, you need enforcement, and that's my question, because, you know, I was on the road this weekend. I didn't pass, other than the regular checkpoint, which is by the Coast Guard. I didn't pass any other. And we all know when we leave this country and we drive in another country, we follow all the laws.
All the laws.
But there's a reason why. The minute I don't have on my seatbelt in Mexico, I get pulled over. And I have to plea or take my ticket or whatever it is. It's the same thing in the States. You won't even try it in the States because you are so fearful of being pulled over. So the enforcement keeps people accountable. And while we have regulations for seatbelt and speed limits, we don't have enforcement. So people know that it doesn't matter if they're driving 80 miles an hour on the highway, nobody's going to stop them.
Marlene, that's why I said that how the whole issue of enforcement has to be something that we all do, and we ensure that we have the standards of doing the enforcement. And because the thing is that, like I said, you come on the road, you meet the police officer having a police checkpoint, right?
Yeah.
They ask you, can I see your driver's license? You show
Oh, no, wait, let me give you the real scenario. You pull up to the point, you pull on your seatbelt, you may tell your passenger put on your seatbelt, you may hide your beer in the back, and then I go to the police officer. And then the minute I drive away, I take off the seatbelt, I retrieve my beer. I'm not saying everybody drinks,
does that.
but some people do.
Yeah. Well, that's true. But what I was going to base myself was that whatever we do, we must do it across the board.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot just, and the thing is that what I have learned is that not all the police officers are trained in traffic. Right? And even with the issuing of the traffic violation tickets, for example, the proper writing out of the traffic violation tickets and the offenses on the ticket. Many times people arrive at our office, for example, to pay a traffic violation ticket almost at the end of the 30 days, because the police tell them you have 30 days to pay this traffic violation ticket. And it's not so. 15 days, the ticket is for 15 days, the fine on the ticket is for 15 days, and after each day after that, it increased by $5 for not paying the ticket within the specified
the penalty
time,
fee,
right? And so now when the person comes to my cashier at the office to pay their ticket, then they find out that they have an area of $75 because they had a 15 days times 5 is $75. Now imagine you get a ticket for $50 and you have to pay $75 more, and you reach the cashier and the cashier tell you, sir, I cannot accept your $50, or you need to pay 50 plus $75. And the first thing the person said, well, the police told me that I had 30 days to pay this
So
ticket.
you're saying that the police officers who work on the highway don't get any training from the transport department to...
We have mentioned to them, some of them have requested, and we have mentioned to them that we are willing to do the training.
Yeah.
And like I said, some senior police officer that mentioned to me, Mr. Galvez, if the officers are not traffic officers who know what they are doing, then ticket books should not be issued to them. And so you understand? So and the thing is that they have to know what they are doing out there.
Will we ever see, because we know resources will always be a challenge in our country, human resources and financial resources for this issue. We've seen the highway patrol vehicles, and every now and again you may pass them on the road. But is it an issue where perhaps we need more enforcement for the currently existing laws?
Yes, we do. We are getting 6 more highway patrol vehicles.
Okay.
That is something very good.
Yes.
Through the second road safety project. You know that they will be working on the coastal road. They will be working on the Belize Corozal portion of the road. Corozal will be getting a highway patrol vehicle. Orange Rock will be getting a highway patrol vehicle. Belize City will be getting another one. San Ignacio, Belmopan, to be responsible for enforcing and to be on the highway. Now this is what I'm telling my officers. Presence is deterrence. So your presence being out there is something that you need to be focused on. Many times, personally, I have told them I have been on the highway between Belmopan and Belize City, and I have not been seeing my patrol vehicle. And
I'm sure someone is saying that right now.
And this is something that, you know, I am the chief transport officer, and I have mentioned this to the people who are responsible, because just like the police department, we have an officer who is responsible for each district as a senior transport officer who has traffic enforcement people under their belt, and they have traffic wardens, and the vehicles are there. We have
So what's their answer
quota.
when you tell them you didn't see them?
They excuse. They always find excuse. We just went in to have lunch. You know.
But don't they have shifts?
You know, yes, they have shift, and that's the thing. You know.
But Teresa, this sounds. You know what it sounds like, or just from listening to you, and I think Gavin was getting at that. It seems that there's so many different functioning parts, so many different parts that may or may not be functioning. And worse yet, because if we have highway patrol vehicles, but they're not on the highway. If we have a licensing process, but they're not checking lights or brakes. If we have laws that say use your seatbelt and maintain the speed limit, but nobody's checking on it. If we have police officers doing check stops, but they don't know the transport laws, then we have a lot of different elements, but nothing that actually works together. And this goes with, and I need to say that yes, our behavior is the first thing that allows these crashes to happen. But you know, it's like having a dog that is not suitable around humans off a leash. You know, you have to put in the protective measures. So if we know that the human behavior, our driving culture is already one that is dismissive of safety, and all these other parts are there but not working together, how do we, I mean, what is the step forward in being able to get everyone to come to the table so that you can use the tools that you have to kind of get us in check as drivers?
Yeah. Again, the thing is that our people, or we who are enforced or responsible for enforcement, also need to put our actions together. We need that, as you said, the coordination. We shouldn't just wait until these incidents occur to see that, because like I said, I've heard the Commissioner of Police mentioning that they will be putting out a lot more highway patrols on the road. That is good, but we should also be proactive right? Rather than to be reactive, because many times that's the way we tend to do things, that we wait until things happen. And so, like I said, the police, myself, right? We have a huge responsibility, but we cannot be on the ground at all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and we have people who should be doing, who have their responsibilities. And when we find these people being negligent, then we'll have to deal with them.
Yeah.
Right? Our officers, like I said, the thing is that resources is one of our problem also in respect to fuel, for example. We all know that we have a quota, for example, that is being given out on a monthly basis for the use of the vehicles. If they utilize, and this is what really gets to me, is the fact is that sometimes we even have to request for additional fuel for the vehicles before the month is up, because the fuel quota has exhausted. Yet, like I mentioned earlier, I don't see the vehicles working. So where are the vehicles? Where are they operating? Like I said, I am not out there all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, they can say that they went in to do certain things, but the vehicle belongs out on the highway. For us, we are responsible for highway.
Yeah.
Our vehicles should not be seen within Belize City, circulating in Belize City. Our vehicles, we have 2 vehicles for Belize. The highway patrol, which was one of the highway vehicles to monitor from Belize City to Democracia. So on a daily basis, that vehicle should be out there patrolling from Belize to Democracia, and we have the other one from Belmopan, should be patrolling from Belmopan to Democracia. They also have a Wingle, which is responsible for enforcement on the Philip Golson Highway. So again, like I said, we have a huge responsibility. We have to carry out our responsibility, but again, road safety is everybody's business.
Yes.
Right? And everybody have a role to play. People cannot be driving with the cell phone,
That's right.
texting, you know, not focusing on the road. So, you know, people must be focused on what they are doing, you know, because these incidents happen in split seconds. The minute you slip, and then you have your vehicle with blind spots, you don't see until it's too late.
Yeah.
You know, and again, respecting the speed limit, driving under certain conditions on the roads. Again, you know, people overtaking around curves. You know, it's raining, people still speeding on the road. You can't see, your vision is blurred. You know, the road is foggy, yet you see vehicles speeding on the road. One person I always remember, former Minister of Transport, Melvin Holtz. A lot of people say they don't like to ride with Mr. Holtz because he drives fast. No, Mr. Holtz's principle was, or what he said was, how can I crash if I am on my lane and there's nothing in front of me? You know, there's no obstruction, so you could see, and you look at it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it has to be that you move off your lane to go and overtake where another.
Yeah, but then you also have other users on the road.
Yes, you have obstructions and you have things that could happen to your vehicle.
Yeah.
And I want to say before also that now we are coming up to Christmas, and a lot of people will be traveling. You know, people need to do pre-inspection of their vehicles before. They need to check their tires. They need to make sure that their tires, you know, don't have bulges, don't have cuts. Wires are not coming out of their tires. You know, it's not worn. People don't realize also that the not having equal pressure in your tires is also can contribute to road traffic crashes. Because it's just like if you are driving with one tire with the correct pressure and the other one with a lower pressure, it tends to pull you on the side. Just, you know, so you look at your tires, you look at the wear of your tires. If your tires is eating inside, that means that you need alignment.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to do these inspection of your vehicle, ensure that your gauges are working properly. Your brakes, you check your brakes. You know, you press your brake pedal. If your brake pedal goes down, if you put your foot on the brake pedal and the brake pedal goes all the way down, then it's possible that you have a fluid leak in the lines of the brake fluid. You need to check your brake fluid and ensure that you have the proper, you know, so you need to do this inspection.
You need to use your seat belt.
Yes, you need to ensure that your seat belts are working. even the wiper for your vehicles. It's raining, I think you need to ensure that your wipers are working.
Your lights.
You know, your lights. On respect to the wiper, I just want to bring this. My dad taught me this when I was a kid. He's growing up. He said that whenever if for some reason your wiper is not working, you buy a potato, a simple potato, an Irish potato, and you cut the potato in half, and you rub the potato all over your windshield. And when it rains, the water just slides off.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, so things like that, you know, people, you know, you could try it one of these days. Just try it. You cut the potato and you rub all over the windshield. It won't mess your windshield. The rain comes, it just flow right off your windshield.
That's interesting.
You know, so little things, little tricks that, you know, you need to know, no?
Yeah. You know, and this conversation we're always grateful when you join us, because there's a lot that we have to talk about road safety. And while I know we pressured a lot from the enforcement side, because that's where you represent today, we all do have a responsibility as well as people who traverse the road, as drivers, as cyclists, as people on motorcycles, even people who walk on the roads, people who get off buses. All of us have to be cognizant of each other's safety.
And pedestrian, the thing is that, sorry to cut you off, is that the vulnerable users of the road, which are the pedestrian, the cyclists, the motorists, are the most, you know, affected, right? And sometimes, again, when roads are being built, and that's why road safety is something that has to be a part of all infrastructure projects. Road safety. How can you build a road in an area where people live, and then you put there's no way for people to cross the road, right? So you have to build roads so that it suits the. So you have to bear in mind people. Whenever you do any project, people has to be at the forefront.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and talking about the ongoing work. As you said, the road safety initiative continues now with the Philip Olson Highway, which means infrastructure development and also more education.
There will be infrastructure, but the part that will only be for traffic safety from our part. We still have Ms. Pamela again as the project manager for that project, and education and health. So we have Ministry of Education that will be responsible also for ensuring that all the schools along that highway are, you know, that teachers are being trained. You know, and it's part of their curriculum.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by representatives of the Statistical Institute of Belize to talk about Census 2020. Please stay tuned.
And we are back with here at Open Your Eyes, and we are currently joined by representatives from the Statistical Institute of Belize, and they're here to talk to us and give us an update on the ongoing census initiative. So we are joined by Dr. Leopold Perriot, who is the Director General of the Statistical Institute of Belize, and also Ms. Miriam Willoughby, who is the Manager of Census and Surveys and Administrative Statistics Department. Getting a bit tongue-tied.
Yeah.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So, right before we got on air, we were talking about, what a massive effort it is just to gather information and preparing for the census. So, perhaps you can get us started by talking about, now that we are in December, what are the preparations that are currently underway to get us ready for next year's census?
Well, a few comments. We actually started this process in October of 2016. Wow. So this is a little while now. We've been at it, correct?
Yeah.
October 6 has been a little while. And there are many things you have to do to get a census up and going. You have to make sure that the legal issues are in place. You have to make sure that you have the proper structure inside of the institute to make sure people know what they're doing and when they're supposed to be doing it, things of that sort. No? Mm-hmm. And so we've been at it for a little while. And now I think we're out of the planning phase. Basically, we're into execution. We're up against it. We're between
You're
a rock and a
piloting the census now, aren't you?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
And basically the pilot is like a mini census. Mm-hmm. So all the activities that we would do to prepare for the actual census and in executing the actual census, we're doing that for the pilot.
Yeah.
So that includes your recruitment of interviewers and field supervisors, training them, doing the data collection to test the questionnaires, data processing. So it includes to test the whole process. That's the whole purpose of the pilot. You want to test the process. You want to see what works and what doesn't work, and what we need to improve on before the actual census in May of next year. So we're currently in the field right now doing data collection to test the questionnaires.
Yeah.
And this is testing everything, testing the application, testing how we pay people, everything.
Not the people who participate, the surveyors out there, right?
Yes, of course, because it is important. We have to be able to pay people in mass. When you have a lot of people, it's another issue. Paying 10 people is one thing. Paying 600 is something else.
Yeah.
So the pilot allows us to test our procedures, our process, and then we'll do a thorough evaluation of it once it's finished, and then make adjustments where we need to make adjustments. We have developed quite a bit of IT applications in preparation for the census to monitor field staff, to pay field staff, and so all that we want to test during this pilot. So it's really critical to the successful implementation of the census next year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. How much of it is actually sort of new methods and technologies that we're using versus let's say, the last one? Looks like a lot just based on your reaction.
In the 2010 census, for instance, we used paper maps, right? That's long. Yes, imagine
wow.
that. Imagine printing a whole lot of maps for enumerators to use. We've gone past that now. We're using digital maps. So mapping, we're wrapping that up right now. We're preparing. We have created developed a system called SIB Collect, and basically it's to guide the interviewers as to where the buildings are in their area of work, right? Because we have to go and enumerate each building in this country. So that's an innovation that we have. And then in terms of monitoring the field work itself, back in 2010, we would have to go to the districts and check questionnaires and paper questionnaires.
Yeah.
That's a thing of the past as well. So now we are collecting data electronically. We have a system that we use, Survey Solutions, that was created by the World Bank. So that's our data collection application. And it really allows us to do better monitoring and real-time monitoring versus, checking a paper questionnaire. So Those are some of the innovations that we have, but we have to test them to make sure that they work well.
Yeah, yeah, because it'll be new technology
It will
that
be
you're
new
using.
technology, yes.
Now, all this preparatory work from 2016 to now and piloting and testing, it really is an indicator as to how serious this information is. My question is, given the fact that we have so much technology now to use to input, you're not using a paper map, you're not having a paper survey, so everything will be gathered electronically. Does that mean that we get the information out faster?
That's the implication. That's precisely the implication. We're hoping, well, not hoping, I'm demanding that we should have preliminary results by the end of the year.
Whoa. Okay.
So we're gonna have, and I don't want just tables. I want some narrative.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that at the beginning of the year. We're taking a different approach this time around. Instead of having just one report 2 years later, as we've done before, we're thinking of having the preliminary report by the end of the year, and then every quarter thereafter have a thematic report. So the first one will be on poverty and disability. And so every quarter we'll come up with a thematic report, which keep people interested, of course, and make use of the information on a real-time basis almost.
No, and the census data is so important. I mean, it really just tells us, not just makes us guess what the situation is in the country. I know you've also moved to include, well, typically every agency asks you to introduce this into your census and that into your census. Some of this information is sensitive, and I want to ask just ahead of time, what are some of the new areas that you're venturing into in collecting in this census?
There's a food security module that we've included that wasn't in the last census, which basically asks if any member of your household has gone without food for a particular period of time because you were unable to afford or have the resources to have food. And we hope to use this information to do a poverty analysis. So that's a new area. We have also included an area in insurance coverage, personal insurance coverage, which we didn't have in the last census. So we ask if you have health insurance, if you're covered by Social Security, life insurance, etc. So that's another new area that we have in the census. Can't remember. Do we have any other?
Most of it is what we've had before, but those are some of the.
Those are two of the new areas that we have. Yes.
Now, right now, you are looking for employees. You're recruiting for the census. Almost 1,000 people.
That's what we need. Yes.
Yeah.
We need approximately 1,000 people.
Okay, I know there are lots of people out there looking for work, especially around now. Talk to us about what are the requirements that you have, what type of positions you're looking to fill.
So we have interviewer position, that's the biggest one, that's the main one. So for an interviewer, you're required to have at least a high school diploma. It would help if you have some survey experience collecting data. We need over 600 interviewers on the ground during the census. And then we have supervisors who will be supervising the interviewers. We need just over 133 of them. And they require at minimum an associate's degree. And again, preferably you have some experience in doing some type of supervision, field supervision. We have editors. We also require an associate's degree of them. We need about 40 or so editors for the census. And then we will have regional offices, 9 regional offices. So each office will have a IT person. Each office should have an admin person, and I think those are all and a coordinator. Well, the census coordinator, will be from the SIV's headquarters. So those are the positions that we have. So far, I believe we have received over 1,800 or so
Yeah, over
applications.
1,800 last count.
Which is
So
great.
you don't really need it.
No, it's great, but we need applications from specific areas, so we're not seeing enough applications like from the rural areas.
Okay.
We see it more from the urban areas. So what we're doing right now is actually identifying those areas and then having people on the ground, like to go specifically to those
You want
areas.
them from the actual community?
This
Yes,
is correct.
yes, and
is
that's
correct.
because of the way that we've structured our field operations. So we'll have teams of interviewers, but we prefer them from the same area. So they'll be working in the area basically where they reside. And so that's why we're doing like focused recruitment.
Yeah.
Sure. And then, I mean, I guess that was going to be sort of my next question for any prospective applicant or whatever. They probably want to know, especially, what sort of the job would entail. Like, what is it going to look like if I apply to be an interviewer and I do get the job? What does that look? What does that entail?
Okay, so if you get the job, you'd have to undergo training and be successful in that first. But if you get the job, we will provide you with obviously the maps of your area where you're supposed to go. So that's clear to you. But it's really, it's hard work, right? It entails you going from walking in the sun, just battling the weather, the elements, and working hours that, beyond normal working hours, because really it's based on when you find persons at home, right? So sometimes it's early morning, sometimes it's in the evening, most times it's on the weekends. So, if you're somebody who likes your weekends and you don't want to work on weekends, then it's not a job for you. So that's why I said it's not easy, but it's worth it. They're compensated by how much they produce. So the more they produce, then the more they get paid. So it's worth it in the end.
And as you said, the urban areas, the jobs have been filled. So when you say urban areas, you're
We
saying
have enough
city,
applications.
towns. And when you say you're looking for rural areas, how rural are we talking? We're talking like small villages or like suburbs? Or
No, we're talking to the village level.
Yeah.
That we still need quite a bit of persons that need to apply. But like I said, we're doing now like targeted recruitment in those areas. So we hope to have those positions filled.
And your requirements are 18?
You have to be at least 18 years old. And like I said, for the interviewer, you have to have at least a high school diploma. For the supervisor, at least an associate's
An
degree.
associate.
And each person undergoes an interview. We have to interview each person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Okay. So you're looking to fill how many positions?
In total, it's 930 positions between the interviewers and the supervisors, and then we have reserve interviewers as well in the event that somebody gets sick or they cannot continue to work. We have people on standby.
No, I mean, so you have the interviewers who are going to go out. I know one of the things you spoke of was using the technology. There's also the GIS system, and this will be complementary to the work that you're doing as well.
I think it will be integral to the work we're doing. Each person will be able to locate the particular dwelling by the GPS application we have.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the final the reason why that we need that is because we want to disseminate using maps.
Yeah.
Okay, so at whatever level, whether it's the block level or the district level, whatever level, we want to be able to put our information out using maps. And this is new for us, absolutely brand new, and very expensive, by the way. But I think it will be worthwhile. It will be a useful, very useful exercise.
And we'll also use the GIS to monitor how the field operations are going. For example, we'll be able to see visually an area that has been completed, areas that have not been touched yet, so that we can make adjustments where we need to make adjustments during the enumeration itself. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yes, I was joking with my people. The office is going to be like NASA's office with monitors. And
he wants to have a command center.
I want to have a command center. You can see in a visual fashion how the households are being color coded, completed, partially complete, not completed. So you can see how it progresses throughout.
Until you get your whole Belize map covered as complete.
And in this way, we can be pretty certain that We can tell you how many people haven't been interviewed and where the spots are that need to be targeted. If there's somebody in some village in the middle of nowhere, we can tell you almost real time.
So that's a technology that we didn't have for the last
Before,
census that we really want to see it happen this one.
Well, that make life a lot easier than paper maps, I'd guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But going back to the piloting phase, because this is critical. This is for you to know, if your interviewers are trained well enough, if the questions are written in a way that people can understand or want to answer. What phase of the piloting are you at right now?
We're at the data collection phase. We're doing this in 3 areas, 3 districts in Orange Walk District, specifically in the Trial Farm area. We're doing it here in Belize City, and we are doing it in Toledo Rural in the Sunderwood area. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area in Sunderwood. So we've gone very rural just to see what are some of the challenges that we could face during the census and how to cope with that.
Yeah.
So that's why we selected specific areas to see what are the different challenges in urban versus rural areas. Our teams, we have 3 teams. They started yesterday actually, and they are supposed to finish in 2 weeks' time, so by mid-December. And after that, then we look at the data and we do a thorough evaluation of how things went. So it's really, really critical.
All right.
You're doing about what, 700 households?
We estimate that they will cover around 700 households. We're just doing some selected enumeration areas, so in that it's about 700 households.
Now, all this talk about the census, it feels like it's happening next month, but we still have another way to go before you actually kickstart, right?
As a matter of fact, we
For
have
us, it feels like tomorrow.
It's just like tomorrow. It's right here.
It feels like tomorrow for you, but for the rest of us, it's not until May next year that we'll expect to see
That is
census
correct.
surveyors out in the field.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, and we should mention that the areas that they're doing now, they will have to go back to those areas. So, it's important that people know that while your household is being done now, it's for a pilot, but during the actual census, they will go back to these very same households as well. So, we hope that we will get
there's
their
some patient
cooperation.
people.
Right.
I mean, how much time does it take? Is this a very detailed survey?
On average, at a household, it takes about an hour and a half to administer for the entire household.
Traditionally, are people cooperative with providing information to the census?
I found them very, 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 very cooperative. And the last time, the same way. They're very, for surveys and the same, they've been very, very cooperative.
Yeah.
Have some very nice people. Want to invite you for tea and all kind of things.
Oh, wow.
We start the training, when is it?
The training started on the 20th of November. It went for 9 days.
Okay.
And then yesterday they started the actual field work.
The actual training, the final training is going to be starting, in February?
Oh, for the actual census, that starts in February. So the way we do our training is like a cascading type of training where we do a first level training that would be for our HQ staff. So that starts in February. We do thorough training. And then in March, we train our field supervisors. And then in April, we'll train our interviewers. So it's a cascading level type of training.
And the most important thing that we need people to know right now is that you are offering jobs.
Yes.
How do they apply, and where can they get more information?
We have an online application that they can complete, but they can also call our offices in Belmopan. And then either we send you an application, because we do have paper applications as well if you can't do it online. So you can always call their offices for more information as well.
Yeah. Are there any particular districts where you're in more need than others?
I think in the southern districts, both Sand Creek and Toledo, especially the rural areas, those are the areas I think right now that we need more applications come in. But we do have people on the ground, but definitely we need more applications from those areas.
How tech savvy do you have to be?
We say that if you can navigate your smartphone, you can navigate a tablet.
Just checking, right?
Just checking.
Should be fairly easy, yes.
And of course, there will be training, right?
If you're,
There will be training.
if you're a technophobe, this might not be the job.
Yes, indeed.
Now, what other main actions have to be taken before the actual launch of the census next May. So you have training, we have recruitment. Is there anything else that'll be happening in between?
Well, there has to be a major exercise in obtaining venues. For example, to train we need 40 venues. We need to rent space for the district offices. So there's a whole operation going on there. And that is district offices, they'll be operational for 6 months.
Yes.
So we have to rent space for that. We need to make sure that we have our equipment. I think we've ordered 1,000 tablets. Hopefully they get in here
By the end of January.
by the end of January, so we can charge them and put on the applications and things of that sort.
Yeah.
And then so it's a lot of technical operations required at this particular time.
Yeah.
And once that is done, then we're almost set to go, I suppose.
Yes.
Then you train.
With the training, we're almost set to go.
Yeah.
It's full speed ahead.
Okay.
And then there's also transportation.
there's
We will be
transportation.
providing transportation to some of our rural teams. That has to cover a very large area. So I think we have estimated somewhere about 50 to 60 vehicles that we will need for the census. So the logistics alone is a lot.
It's horrendous.
So clearly, the question everybody has in their mind right now is, what is the budget for the census?
A lot of money.
Well, we've submitted a budget, and it's a little bit over $8 million, I suppose. We have been making asking a lot of people to assist, and we have obtained quite a bit of assistance. As a matter of fact, we have assistance from our international partners, and assistance from various ministries and agencies. You know, we're soliciting space to train, for example.
Okay.
And some people have volunteered to allow us to use their premises to train.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how we go about it. So hopefully, we should be able to do it. We'll see. I have every confidence that it's going to happen.
Yeah. All right.
Perhaps we can shift the conversation just slightly, because I know that there are some some updates on some new release statistics which you've brought to share with us as well. So perhaps you can talk to us a little bit about some of those, like for example, the GDP was one of them. Also, you've shared some. So perhaps we can talk a little bit about those.
Oh yeah. Well, there were a number of. We had a press conference just a very short while ago, I suppose.
Like last week.
Last week
or so, and we talked a little bit about some of the areas. The labor force, for example, was one that is a set of indicators that come out twice a year. Is it?
Yes.
You know,
and as you had predicted, you said there'd be a dip after the unemployment.
There's a little bit of a blip. There's a bit of an increase at 10.4% unemployment. That is probably expected because it's a low season for unemployment, and so people, you know, the unemployment rate just goes up a little bit when compared to April of the same year. So that we expect that. We're noticing some interesting kind of trends that the women are kind of leading the charge in getting jobs. The issue, of course, is that a lot of the jobs are kind of low paying. They're kind of services and
because that was going to be
jobs.
Because I think one of the statistics which we've also spoke about was the actual salary information as well, and I think I think there was a decrease in salary.
There was a decrease about $100 or so, $110, $15, something like that, a decrease of that for the median salary. But the trend we've been noting also is that there's been an increase in the amount of underemployment. People are really doing any job they
what
can.
they can, yeah.
They're doing any jobs that they can, as a matter of
Just
fact.
to clarify once again, what is underemployment? What classifies
Well,
as underemployment?
we take underemployment to be if you work less than 35 hours per week.
Yeah.
This is the easy one.
Yeah.
The harder one is that if you have a master's and you're doing something which is
You're not using the
you're not using
degree.
your skills at all. That is also underemployment, but we don't measure that.
I was gonna ask, do you? Yeah. So right now it's just based on work hours.
Just work based work hours.
We
This is
look
Okay.
at time underemployment,
Yeah.
right, not skills.
So interesting trends, increase in underemployment. What other notes would you make of the recent statistics you've released?
Well, only the men seem to be seem to be topping out on what they can do. The women are picking up the slack now. I think the women are stepping up in their numbers for participation rates, participating in the labor forces are increasing, and they're the ones who are taking up the slack.
Is it the type of work, or it's just women are trying to gain employment more?
Yeah, it seems like that because we've seen the increase in women entering the labor force. They're getting jobs, but the kind of jobs they're getting are not what we would call full-time jobs. So a lot of the jobs that they're getting is like self-created type of employment. So that's what's bringing down your median monthly income.
Yeah. What I also noted that was interesting was an increase in tertiary education cost. Was that what I saw?
Yes, that's a tuition cost. I think went up for some tertiary institutions. UB, I think, for example, the cost went up dramatically.
So tertiary education is getting more expensive.
A bit more expensive. Tuition get a bit more expensive now. It's too bad. We had a good thing going.
Well, yeah, that's why I made note of it, because I mean, we're talking about wanting people to have higher levels of education, and if that's one of the prices going up, we have to look at that as well. All right. So that's just, I mean, in summary, I think, in looking at the recent statistics that have been released. But the key point of being here is to let people know that you are recruiting. You're recruiting in rural areas. You need to fill close to 1,000 positions.
Yes.
So you can go to this SIB's website. You can call them. You can drop by one of the offices and find out how you can apply for one of these jobs. 18 and older.
Yes.
High school for some positions and associates for other positions.
Yes.
And if you're from a rural community, most likely they'll need you even more.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Thank you so much for coming in, and we appreciate you providing the update. And best of luck.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're talking about an upcoming triathlon race. So please stay tuned.
Signing up for Smart
we're back and we're moving into our final conversation for today. It is the first ever international triathlon race being held in Belize, and even more so in one of the beautiful parts of our country in Hopkins Village. We have with us on set organizer for the Caribe Man 2019, Jody Williams. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Jody. So I know that you ride. I know that you're an athletic person and you also have your business interests. Where did this international triathlon idea come from?
Yes, very good question, Marlene, and good morning, and thank you for having me on the show.
Yes.
I've been in the sport of triathlon for over 5 years now, and I would say 95% of my races has been outside of Belize, in Mexico, the US, and also in Guatemala. And in those countries, I've built networks, friendships, alliances with race organizers, fellow athletes, and they always ask me the same question: does Belize do any race in triathlon in Belize? So I told them no. He said, well, Jody, why don't you do one, organize one, and we could go to your country to participate.
Yeah.
So this was about 3 years ago, and I was telling them maybe, maybe not. I'm not too sure. And this year, I think I had the motivation to come together and with some other people to do this race, and it's finally becoming a reality this Saturday.
So we only have the Lionman triathlon, right? That's
Yes.
the only triathlon in Belize that's
Yes.
like public?
Yes, that's the only triathlon that has ever been done in Belize, is the Lionman, and I think the last race has been about 3 years ago, so it's been a while since we have had an official race in Belize.
And it's because it doesn't have a lot of participation in Belize.
Yes, that's correct. I think the last one was about 12 athletes. But the main thing with the triathlon, if we could market it to regional athletes, then we could get the crowds. Approximately, we have 46 people confirmed for Caribe Man. In that crowd is about 12 of us from Belize, and majority from Guatemala, Mexico, and Honduras.
All right, let's step back a bit.
Sure.
What makes you want to participate in a triathlon? You're talking about
Yes.
it's swimming first, then riding,
Then riding.
then ending off with a run. And the swim is how long?
The swim will be 750 meters, just under half a mile.
The ride is how long?
12 miles.
The run is how long?
3 miles or 5 kilometers.
Okay. What makes you want to put your body through this?
Yes, I was once a track and field athlete, and I just jumped in the Lionman competition. And to me, I found it to be one of the hardest sports that I've ever did.
Yeah.
So after that first day, I was hooked onto it. And since there was no race in Belize, I just started to travel to Chetumal and close areas, Petén. And I started to do these races, and I guess I just love the thrill of it. To be able to push the body to the limit and to also improve my time every year.
Yeah.
And that's what motivates me. In triathlon, people ask me, Jody, I see you sometimes at 8 o'clock in the night running, or I see you 5 in the morning doing 3 hours on the bicycle.
Yeah.
What motivates you? It's not money, it's not really glory, it's just being able to meet my objective, being one of the best regionally, and also by improving my time every year.
Yeah, so what kind of preparation does go into that then? So you mentioned, running late at night or whatever. So how much, let's say on a given day or
Yes.
on average, how much time do you dedicate to training?
Yes, I do about 15 to 18 hours per week, and that's between the 3 disciplines. Most of my training is on the bike. Second, the run, and the swimming is the least.
Yeah.
But it's about 15 to 18 hours, and I have a coach from Guatemala who trains me via online every day. So Mr. Luis sends me what I need to do to the week. I post my workouts on the system, and he checks my progress, and this is how I've been doing for the past 3 years
Yeah.
with him.
What's the hardest part for you?
The hardest part is the swimming. When I went into my first Lionman in 2014, I just had about 2 days of swimming training. Most of the athletes regionally, they grew up with swimming and pools and coaches. But here in Belize, I just jump in the water, and when I go to the Keys, that's the only swimming training I get.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the hardest part, especially with the speed. But other than that, also the run could be pretty hard, especially if you push hard on the swim and the bike. You can actually pay for it on the run.
Yeah.
So with triathlon, it's about balancing your energy on all disciplines and trying to bring out that last little bit of energy to push on the run.
That's the part I can't imagine. Like after getting off a 5 mile ride on a bike, your legs must be lead.
Yes, yes.
And you have to run for 3 miles?
Yes.
Wow. And that's where I guess it takes the greatest mental strength.
Yes. And yeah, the crowds help in that.
Yeah.
And also the training, that's true. When you jump off that bike, your legs, you could barely move it. It takes about half a mile for your legs to start feeling normal after you jump off the bike.
Yeah.
Same thing with the running, you come out kind of disoriented out of the water.
The swimming, yeah.
So when you jump on the bike, it takes about 10 minutes to really feel like you're back on land.
So, you know, maybe you can talk to us also about, you know, you said that, you know, after you had entered the Lineman competition is when you had really, that got you super interested in it. So what was it like when you decided to first compete internationally as well?
Yes. I was in Chadomal just enjoying a good time there. And I stumbled on a race in Bacalar. And I was drinking Corona that day. And guess what? I asked them, what are you guys doing? We're doing a triathlon. I said, oh, I did one in Belize. How much to go in? They told me, and I just went in. I went in with a regular trunks, and I had to ride and everything with the regular trunks and a regular shirt. Didn't have time to buy a suit. I didn't have my suit on me. And yeah, from there I got like top 5 for my age group. And right there, so I said I have to go back. I met friends in Mexico and Guatemala, and I just started traveling. From there, I started to do races. I started with short distance for the first 2 years, and now I'm doing long distance. So I'm doing the 70.3 Ironman competitions, which is anywhere from 4.5 hours to 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have qualified to the World Championship for next year to Slovakia because of a race I did in Cancun this year.
Oh my gosh.
So
you have big races coming up?
yes.
Because the Ironman is when?
The Ironman, there is one in March. I'll do that for a warm-up. And then May, I'm going to the World Champs in Slovakia.
Okay.
The best, I would say 5,000 athletes in the world have qualified for that. And I'll be right there with that 5,000 athletes.
All right. And we're going to see those caliber of athletes at Caribeman?
For this race, I could say 80% of the athletes are there for the experience.
Okay.
And about 20% I could see are high caliber there for the competition. We have some very good athletes coming in from Guatemala as well. A couple guys from Guatemala City who are very good.
Yeah. So when your friends had been asking you for so long about why Belize doesn't have a race so that they could come, when you finally decided to do it, I mean, tell me about putting together the preparations, getting people to support you, and also getting people to agree to come.
Yes. We found out that Hopkins is a very beautiful village, very touristic, very good beaches, very good road, especially the Hopkins before the junction.
Yeah.
And I came together with Mr. Jaime Guerra. He is part of the Desafío Eventos Deportivo in Guatemala. And we said, let's do this. So we came together to pick the location, and from there we just went to town and we found a perfect location which is on the main pier right at the entrance of Hopkins.
Yeah.
We'll be doing 2 laps around the bridge, approximately 750 meters for the entire route. We're trying our best for the swim to stay in the shallow as much as possible. Because they say some athletes want to take a risk, they could stand up and then continue, stand up and continue. The ride will take place going to the junction and come back. That's 6 miles. They'll do 2 laps of that, which is 12 miles. And the run will go from the police station of Hopkins straight down towards Hamanasi area, the south of town. We'll take a detour through Jungle Genius. And then, guess what? The last half of the run is a beach run, which will make it very interesting.
And difficult.
And difficult to be soft sand.
Yeah.
But we'll have a bag there if anyone wants to show off their tennis. We'll do that run. The entire route will have also magnetic carpets because all of our athletes will have timing chips. I don't know, what is that? We will be using timing chips.
Okay.
So we'll put the timing chips around our ankles, and this will be recording all the times throughout the whole route.
Okay.
So halfway over the run, it records your time, halfway over the bike. So there's no cutting of the course, and athletes, when they come in and they finish, they get a very accurate time, their accurate time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I'm really curious as to how organizing And just from the logistics standpoint, a race like this, getting equipment, getting
Yes.
people to host and assist you with putting the whole thing together. What was that like? Was it challenging?
As an athlete, this is my first time organizing.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Also going out to find partners for this event, but it's been very taxing, I could say. I slept last night 12 o'clock just getting presentations ready.
Yeah.
And then I had to get up early to come here. But the support has been really good, especially with our partners. And yeah, athletes can't wait to come to Belize to do this race.
Yeah.
I did a pitch with them and showed them the beaches and pictures of the beaches of Hopkins and some videos, and they love it.
Yeah.
The main thing here is to promote sports tourism in Belize, because it's not only athletes that will be benefit, but also all the people in the community, food vendors, the hotels, people, the stores. We have 3 small hotels that are already booked out for all the athletes who are local Hopkins people with, renting their houses. We have 3 houses already booked out.
Yeah.
We have
Because you're talking 46 triathletes, but then they
Yes.
also have families and
Yes.
support teams that have to
Yes.
come along with them.
Yes, that's a very good point. It will be like 46 times 3, including the families.
Yeah.
By the end of this week, we should get about 8 to 10 more athletes doing last-minute registrations, especially here in Belize and Guatemala. So we could see we have a capacity for 75 athletes.
Did you expect this many? Because it sounds, I mean, we've only been able to get about 12
Yes.
in Belize City, and you have 12 just from Belize
Yeah.
in the Caribbean.
Yes. Our goal was for 50 athletes.
Okay.
I said if we don't get that 50 athletes, might as well just do it one time a year. But the main objective here is for this event to be part of the calendar, and to also for local Belizeans to come and compete and to find a love, just like how I did.
Yeah.
So far in Belize, we only have 5 athletes doing the sport, mostly from San Pedro and me from the south. Honestly, I want to triple that amount of athletes doing triathlon.
Is it all males?
Nearly all males. We have Shalini Zabani from Independence who has registered for this event, so she's very
Okay.
excited, along with Miss Jane Usher and her sister,
Yeah.
Roberta. They will also be participating this weekend.
Okay.
But we do have a male and female category. We have very good prizes. We have trophies. We have medals. We have a recovery area with bananas, with recovery drinks. And yes, we have different.
So what's the top prize, other than, bragging rights that you win?
Yes, the top prize, we have very nice trophies.
Yeah.
We have medals for all finishers. And we have different age groups. We have the under 20, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and the over 40, male and female. We also have a relay section, which is, if you don't want to do the entire event,
You can split it.
you could split it in a team. So far, we have one very strong team from Independence with Mr. Troyer, who's in the relay.
All right. See, that's one way to start. Maybe you start by doing it as a relay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
All right. Now, Jody, why, beyond being able to participate in another triathlon, why was this something that you even ventured into? You could have just kept on traveling internationally to participate. Why did you want one at home?
Yes, I want people to come to Belize. The main thing here is to throw a near world-class event here.
Yeah.
And I think we have reached that level because we'll be having bike racks. We're having floating buoys for all the athletes.
Wow.
We'll be having the chips. We're having the carpets. We have the main blue carpet where athletes will come out of the water, so they won't be running on pebbles or glass.
Yeah.
We'll have a special carpet that will run on top of the carpet. So yeah, the main objective is to do a world-class event here in Belize, and for foreigners to come here and compete in Belize and to take back their experience back to their family and friends, and probably next year we could have 100 or more people to participate here in Belize.
Wow. You have some good sponsors on board?
Yes, we have some very good sponsors who have come on board, and it was a very good time for us, mostly from the south. Our partners include Belizean Dreams,
Okay.
Murray Sharp Fine Foods, Travelers Liquors, Tony's Superstore, Box Best Buy, Tipsy Tuna, San Pedro Town Council. I like what San Pedro did because we're having an event in Hopkins, but they have decided to also promote this event.
Yeah.
Also Caribbean Shipping, Mr. Stanley Langsworth, Hobbs Brewing, down in Placencia, and also the health store at the Santos Diaz. So a big thank you to our partners, and yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds. What time does the race get started?
Yes, we noticed that a lot of races start 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and we don't have much people out. They're probably sleeping or just getting up making breakfast. So we're gonna have the race Saturday at 2:30 p.m. in the center of Hopkinstown.
Oh wow! So that's gonna be some good cool down swim.
Yes.
2:30.
We're estimating around 5:30 we should be complete with the entire event with everyone coming in.
Who's the top athlete to watch so far from who's registered?
From Belize side, I will say it'll be myself and Mr. Kent Gabriel. He's the Lionman reigning champ.
Yep.
And from Guatemala, we have a guy, Pontaza, coming in, who is, I would say, top 4 in Guatemala.
Oh, wow.
I think he wants to come and get an international victory. And we have some Cofino brothers as well, whose dad is very instrumental in Guatemala with making events as well. So we have some good athletes coming, but the main thing here is also fun. So we have a lot of people who are business people from outside, from Mexico, Honduras, and Guatemala, who want to do it for the experience and to spend a night in Belize.
And where is the end of the race so people know where to gather?
Yes, the start and the end is the same location.
Okay.
So they start at the
main pier?
The main pier. The finishing line is right there. The bike rack area of the bike will be right behind the clinic.
Okay.
You grab their bikes, go to the junction, they park their bikes there, run towards Hamanase, Belizean Dreams, take that detour to the beach, and return right back to the pier again. So everything is right there. We'll have Garifuna drummers for entertainment for the entire family, and yeah, we'll have some snacks and everything out there so people could enjoy the sport and to get to see us compete as well.
Well, thank you for coming in, and best of luck.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we get more people interested in attempting the triathlon. It's the first ever international triathlon race. It's called Caribeman 2019. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us about it.
Okay, thank you too. Have a great day.
We're going to go ahead and take that final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up, so stay tuned.
With over 100 years of service excellence in Belize, the
And we're back. You know, for viewers who've been watching us a really, really long time, they'll remember that many years ago, the Open Your Eyes hosts ventured into doing a triathlon as a relay. And I was trying to get Gavin on board, guys, so that we could do a little relay this weekend. Doesn't seem like it's gonna happen.
No, I don't mind being. I'll be your cheerleader, Marlene. If you want to go, I'll be there on the side.
Come on, you do the swim. We'll make John do the riding, and then I'll do the run.
Well, you know, Jody said that he competed in one in Mexico after having had some corona. So if that,
we'll give you beer before. We'll give you the Hubs beer before.
Well, yeah, then that'll be much easier to persuade me to do it. Then.
Let me just be clear though. So that relay, when it happened many years ago, we were last place. But we finished.
Of course.
That was the most important part.
And you had fun, so.
It was a lot of fun. So much so that I still remember William laying out on the ground after his ride. But I think it's such a great thing to see an international event like this being so well planned and of such high caliber in the South, in one of the most beautiful parts of the country, in Hopkins. And it just takes an athlete who says, well, there's nothing here for us, I'm going to do it myself, and that's what he did. So it's a great event to go out and watch. That's the fun thing about triathlons too, because you can also just watch as people progress through the race. And so that happens this weekend in Hopkins, and it's during the day, so you don't have to wake up too early either. And you can find out who's going to win the first ever Caribe Man.
Yeah, that should be fun, and it's an international competition as well. So let's hope that we can bring this one, we can keep this one home, I should say. But that is going to be super, super fun, and you know, congrats to Jody for putting that together.
Yeah.
You know, we also want to say thanks to Teresa Galvez, the Chief Transport Officer, coming to talk to us and give us some updates on the Belize Road Safety Initiative. It is, of course, a topic that's fresh in everyone's mind based on all that's happened in the past few days. So, if anything, let's just remember that while, yes, we do have people who are in charge of enforcing the traffic laws, remember that the responsibility is a personal one as well. Driving is a skill. Before you get behind the wheel, make sure that you are educated, make sure that you are in the right frame of mind, that you're not intoxicated. And it's all about consideration to other people on the roads. And, you know, it's pedestrians, cyclists, everybody has their own part to play. So we do want to thank him again for coming in and speaking to us.
Yeah, and you know, I have to say, because they have done some work that has really helped so far, and I think you really mentioned what I think is the most critical point that I could close off on. You know, it doesn't matter how great the roads are, it doesn't matter if you see or don't see a highway patrol. You're in charge when you're behind the wheel, and you decide whether you're going to be a responsible, considerate driver, or if you're going to be a reckless driver, and also thoughtless, because the minute you drink, you're not only endangering your life, but everyone else's life that you encounter while you're driving. So things to take into consideration. And also remember that fatigue is also as bad as drinking. If you are exhausted, don't drive, because it's just one blink that happens for too long that allows you to also lead to a crash as well. So be thoughtful. Imagine that it's all your other loved ones on the road, and allow yourself to be a lot more responsible, because a vehicle, yes, is meant to help us in a convenient way to move around, but it also can be very lethal for your life and for everyone else's.
And wear your seatbelt.
Please, I mean, what is the big deal?
Yeah.
Just put it on, and you're already safe from going on the road. Put on your seatbelts, and make sure your kids are in car seats, and your passengers as well have on seatbelts. But thank you to Tirso. And also, remember that if you are looking for employment, the Statistical Institute of Belize, they're looking for a number of different positions to fill. Some that will include that will require a high school degree, some that will require an associate's degree. You must be over 18. And so it is, you just have to get in touch with them, and you can find out how you can apply and attempt to get some employment over some time.
Yeah, so definitely thanks again to Dr. Period, and also Miriam Willoughby for coming in to discuss with us. If you are interested, it should be a super interesting initiative to be a part of. There's going to be using a lot of new technology. And of course, if you are a people person, you can go If you want to be an interviewer, you get to go house to house, collecting information, and you get to use a lot of the new technology that to enter the data, and I think that it is a super interesting, and of course it's a vital initiative.
Oh yeah.
Especially, because the information that they gather is super important. And just for example, the Statistics Institute did also speak to us about some statistics that they released for the end of the year. So it's super, super important to gather this type of data, because it informs so much, and it can inform a lot in terms of shaping policy for the future.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's why, all the work that they're putting in, that's why it's only done every 10 years.
Yeah.
But it is a very important marker in knowing where we are and how we're developing as time passes by. So do know as well, if you're interested in the jobs, they're most likely going to require you to work evenings, nights, and weekends. So that's one of the things that you have to know off the bat, because you're trying to catch working people at home to sit and do the surveys with them.
And rural communities as well. If you are living in a village, somewhere a bit more remote, not in one of the bigger towns or cities, they definitely need you, because they are, in light of all the logistics, they're trying to localize it to the extent that it's easier for them to gather data from both the interviewer, the data collector's perspective as well, so that you can be in your own community, so that it makes it easier, to move around in the evenings, in the early mornings, on the weekends, so you don't have to be traveling long distances to do that. So if you are in one of those communities and you're interested at all in taking part, please contact the Statistics Institute, because they are looking for you.
All right, but that's all the time we have for today. Remember, if you want to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5police.com. Drop me a line at marlenny_oye at channel5police.com. Find us on Facebook at
Open Your Eyes BZ, and on Instagram at OYEBelize.
And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart
open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.